The silver ship moved slowly through space toward the small blue planet. Inside the ship, Taimin looked at the screen showing their destination. He was tall and thin, with green skin and large black eyes. His people, the Zalani, were known across the galaxy for being careful and smart. Today he was leading his first big mission for the Galactic Council. "We are getting close to the planet," said Sora from her seat next to him. She was shorter than Taimin, with blue skin and 4 arms. Her people, the Aquari, were good at finding old things buried in the ground. "The readings show it has water, air, and life, just like the report said." Taimin nodded and looked at the planet getting bigger on the screen. It was mostly blue with white clouds and brown and green land. It looked peaceful and quiet. The council had sent them here to study the people who lived on this world. The local beings called their planet Earth, which meant something like dirt or soil in their language. How boring, Taimin thought. They named their world after dirt. Behind them, Wu Jin checked his weapons and gear. He was big and strong with red skin and sharp teeth. His people, the Karathi, were fighters who protected council ships during dangerous missions, but this mission seemed safe. The planet below had people who were not very advanced. They had just started to travel in space and their ships were slow and simple. "The humans down there do not look dangerous," Wu Jin said, looking at the data about Earth. "They fight with small weapons and fly in metal boxes that barely leave their atmosphere. We could take over their whole planet with just this one ship." He Jin was sitting at her computer trying to understand the human languages. She was small and quick with purple skin and a large head full of brains. Her people, the Mentari, were the best in the galaxy at learning new languages and understanding how different beings thought. "Their languages are strange," Hyajin said, frowning at her screen. "They have hundreds of different ways to talk and many of them sound very different from each other. Most intelligent species have just 1 or 2 languages. Why do these humans need so many?" Dong Ho was examining pictures of human tools and machines. He had orange skin and long fingers that were perfect for working with technology. His people, the Takari, could look at any machine and understand how it worked. "Their technology is very basic," Dong Ho said. "They still burn old dead plants and animals to make energy. They use metal projectiles as weapons instead of energy beams. Their computers are huge and slow. I think my people were building better things than this when we were still living in caves." The ship landed softly in a forest, far from any human cities. The council always tried to study new species without letting them know they were being watched. This was called the non-contact protocol. It kept young species safe from getting scared or trying to steal advanced technology before they were ready for it. "Remember," Taimin told his team as they got ready to leave the ship, "we are here to watch and learn. Do not let the humans see us. Do not take anything that belongs to them. Do not leave anything behind that they might find. We are just here to understand what kind of people they are." The team set up their base in a clearing surrounded by tall trees. Their equipment looked like it was made of glass and light, but it was actually harder than any metal the humans had ever made. Within hours, they had scanners watching human cities, computers reading human books and movies, and cameras following human people as they went about their daily lives. Yuna was the team's expert on how different species lived and thought. She had white skin with silver marks that changed color based on her mood. Right now, the marks were light blue, which meant she was curious and interested. "The humans are very social," Yuna said, watching videos of human families in groups. "They live together in large groups and seem to care about each other very much. They share food, take care of their young together, and work as teams to build things. This is good. Social species are usually peaceful and easy to work with." Taimin felt relieved. The council had sent them to decide if humans were ready to join the galactic community. Peaceful, social species usually made good members. They followed rules, solved problems by talking instead of fighting, and shared their knowledge with others. "What about their government?" Taimin asked. "They have many different governments," Yuna replied. "Some are led by one person, others by groups of people. They seem to solve most of their problems by talking and voting. There are some small fights between different groups, but nothing serious. Nothing like a real war." Hyejin looked up from her language computer. I am starting to understand their main languages. They have words for many concepts that we do not have. They have dozens of different words for love and friendship. They also have many words for home and family. This suggests they value relationships and peace. What about their entertainment? Asked Sora. What do they do for fun? Dongho had been studying human movies, games, and sports. They seem to enjoy stories about heroes who save people. They like games where they work together to solve puzzles. Their sports are mostly about skill and teamwork. Very wholesome activities. Wu Jin had been scanning the area for any threats. His job was to keep the team safe, but this planet seemed very quiet. I am not detecting any dangerous animals or hostile humans nearby. The biggest predator I can find is something called a bear, and even those avoid humans most of the time. This planet seems very safe. As the days passed, the team felt more and more confident about their mission. The humans seemed like exactly the kind of species the Council liked to invite to join the galactic community. They were smart enough to be useful, peaceful enough to be safe, and social enough to get along with other species. Taemin started writing his report to the Council. The species known as humans from the planet Earth appear to be excellent candidates for first contact, he wrote. They are intelligent, peaceful, and show great potential for contributing to galactic society. I recommend we begin preparation for formal diplomatic contact within the next solar cycle. But as he was writing, Hyejin made a discovery that would change everything. She had been digging deeper into human languages, trying to understand some of the older words and texts. Most of the human writing was recent, but she had found some very old books and stone tablets with strange symbols. Taemin, she called out, her voice sounding worried. I think you need to see this. Taemin walked over to her computer. On the screen was a translation of an ancient human text. It was written in a language that was much older than the modern human languages they had been studying. What does it say? Taemin asked. Hyejin's purple skin had turned pale. It is a story about a great war, but not the kind of small conflict we have seen in their recent history. This is about millions of people dying, about weapons that could destroy entire cities, about fighting that lasted for years and covered their whole planet. That must be fiction, Taemin said quickly. Young species always make up stories about impossible wars. It helps them feel brave and important. But Hyejin shook her head. I do not think this is fiction, Taemin. The writing style is wrong. For a story, this reads like a history book, like someone was trying to record what really happened. She pulled up more text on her screen. And there are more, lots more. Stories about weapons that turn people to ash, about flying machines that drop explosives on cities, about poisons that kill everything they touch. And all of these texts are written like they are describing real events. Taemin felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. Show me everything you have found. As Hyejin displayed text after text, the team gathered around her computer. What they saw made them all feel sick and scared. The humans had not always been the peaceful people they appeared to be today. According to these ancient texts, they had a history of violence that was almost impossible to believe. And if these texts were true, then everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. Hyejin worked through the night, her purple fingers moving quickly over her translation computer. Every new text she decoded made the team more worried. The ancient human writings told stories of wars that seemed impossible for such a young species. Listen to this, Hyejin said, reading from her screen. 2 great nations fought with weapons that could kill 1 million people at once. The weapons made a bright light brighter than the sun, and everything for many miles around turned to dust and ash. The war ended when both sides realized they could destroy their whole world. Sora's blue skin turned pale. That cannot be real. Young species do not have weapons like that. It takes millions of years to develop that kind of technology. But look at this, Hyejin continued, pulling up another text. This one talks about flying machines that could cross their whole planet in hours, carrying enough explosives to level entire cities. And this one describes weapons that could kill people without leaving a mark, using invisible poisons that spread through the air. Dongho had been quiet, but now he spoke up. I need to check something. He turned to his computer and started looking at the pictures of human technology again. But this time, he was looking more carefully. I thought their metal projectile weapons were primitive, Dong-ho said slowly. But now I am looking at the details. The engineering is actually very good. Too good. These weapons are designed to kill very efficiently. And look at this. He pointed to a picture on his screen. This is not a tool for building or farming. This is something made only for destroying other humans. Yuna had been studying human behavior, but now she was looking at different kinds of videos. Instead of watching families and workers, she was looking at something humans called military training. I do not understand what I am seeing, Yuna said, her silver marks turning dark red with confusion and fear. These humans are practicing how to hurt each other. They run and jump and crawl while carrying weapons. They learn how to sneak up on other humans without being seen. They practice fighting with their hands and feet and teeth. She showed them a video of human soldiers training. The humans moved fast and quiet, working together like a pack of hunters. They could appear and disappear like ghosts, and they handled their weapons like they had been born with them in their hands. This is not normal behavior for a peaceful species, Yuna continued. Peaceful species train their people to build things, to grow food, to heal the sick. They do not train them to become killers. Wu Jin had been watching the military videos too, and his red skin was getting darker with worry. As a warrior himself, he could recognize fighting skills when he saw them, and what he was seeing scared him. These humans move like apex predators, Wu Jin said. Look how they coordinate their attacks. Look how they adapt to different situations. Look how they never give up, even when they are hurt or outnumbered. In my culture, we would call these the movements of a species that has spent thousands of years learning how to kill. Taemin tried to stay calm. Maybe these are just their defenders. Every species has some people who protect the others from dangerous animals or natural disasters. But Sora had been digging into the archaeological data, looking at the physical evidence buried in Earth's soil. What she found made everyone stop talking. I am detecting massive metal deposits buried all over their planet, Sora said, her voice shaking. But these are not natural metal formations. These are the remains of destroyed machines, thousands of them, maybe millions. She showed them a scan of what was buried beneath a peaceful human city. Deep underground were the twisted remains of metal structures that had been melted and broken by incredible heat and force. And the radiation signatures, Sora continued. There are areas all over this planet where the ground still contains traces of radioactive materials. Not from natural sources, from weapons, very powerful weapons. How long ago? Asked Taemin. Some of these sites are hundreds of their years old. Others are much older. It looks like these humans have been fighting massive wars for most of their recorded history. Hyejin had found more texts, and these were even more disturbing. Listen to this one, she said. It describes a war where humans used chemicals that made the air itself poisonous. Soldiers could not breathe without special masks. The land became so toxic that nothing could grow there for years. And this one, she continued, talks about a conflict where humans dug tunnels under entire cities and filled them with explosives. They could make buildings disappear into the ground in seconds. Dong-ho was studying human movies and television shows, trying to understand their culture. But what he found was not entertainment. It was education in violence. Their stories are all about fighting, Dong-ho said. Even their children's cartoons show characters hitting each other with weapons. Their most popular movies are about heroes who solve problems by killing the bad people. Their video games teach players how to use weapons, how to plan attacks, how to survive in combat. But look at this, he added, showing them a human war movie. This is not fantasy. This shows real human military tactics, real weapons, real strategies. They are teaching their own people how to fight wars through their entertainment. Yuna had been studying human sports, thinking they would be peaceful competitions. But even their games were violent. They have a sport where two humans get in a ring and try to knock each other unconscious, Yuna said. They have another sport where teams of humans crash into each other at high speed, trying to take a ball away from each other. Even their gentler sports involve hitting balls with sticks or throwing sharp objects at targets. It is like they cannot imagine any activity that does not involve some form of combat, she continued. Even their children play games where they pretend to be soldiers or hunters. Wu Jin was getting more and more nervous. I think we need to be very careful here. If these humans are as dangerous as these records suggest, we might be in more danger than we realized. But it was He Jin who found the most disturbing evidence of all. She had been working on translating some very old stone tablets that humans had carved thousands of years ago. The language was ancient and hard to understand, but what it said made her blood freeze. I found something, she said, her voice barely a whisper. These tablets are much older than anything else I have translated. They are from the very beginning of human civilization. She showed them her translation on the screen. It says that humans came from a place of constant war, a world where everything was trying to kill everything else, where only the strongest and smartest and most vicious could survive. The tablets call their world by a different name, Ye Jin continued. Not Earth, not the word that means soil or dirt. They call it something else, something that translates to... She paused, checking her translation computer again to make sure she was right. They call it Terra. The world of endless battle, the place where death lives. The team sat in silence for a long moment. Terra was not a word any of them recognized, but something about it felt familiar, like they had heard it somewhere before, in some half-remembered story or ancient warning. Timon tried to access the Council's historical database, searching for any reference to a place called Terra. Most of the database was open to all Council researchers, but some parts required special permission to access. I cannot find anything about Terra in the regular database, Timon said. But there are some files that I do not have permission to read. Files marked with the highest security classifications. What kind of files would need that level of security? Asked Sora. Only information about extinct species that were too dangerous to be allowed to survive, Timon replied. Or worlds that were so dangerous that they had to be quarantined. The word quarantined made everyone feel cold. The Council only quarantined worlds that posed a threat to the entire galaxy. Worlds where something had gone so wrong that they could never be allowed to make contact with other species. Surely that cannot be right, said Yuna. The humans seem mostly peaceful now. They have families and cities and art. They cannot be that dangerous. But Dong Ho had been thinking about the human technology he had examined. What if they are not showing us their real technology, he said. What if what we are seeing is just what they want us to see? What do you mean? Asked Timon. Think about it, Dong Ho said. If humans are as dangerous as these records suggest, they would be smart enough to hide their true capabilities from visitors. They would make themselves look primitive and harmless while they studied us and learned about our technology. You think they know we are here? Asked Wu Jin, his hand moving toward his weapon. I think, said Dong Ho, that we have been underestimating these humans from the very beginning. And if I am right, then we might be in much more danger than we ever imagined. As if to prove his point, a soft alarm began beeping on their detection equipment. Something was approaching their hidden camp, something that moved too quietly and too carefully to be a wild animal, something that was trying very hard not to be detected. The alarm kept beeping softly as something moved through the forest around their camp. Wu Jin grabbed his energy weapon and moved toward the edge of their invisible barrier. The Council's camouflage technology should have made their camp completely hidden from human eyes, but something was definitely out there. How many? Whispered Timon. Wu Jin checked his scanner. I cannot tell. Whatever is out there is moving too carefully. They are staying hidden behind trees and rocks, but I think there are at least 3 of them, maybe more. Humans? Asked Sora. Has to be. But how did they find us? Our technology is thousands of years ahead of theirs. He Jin was still working, at her computer, trying to access more information about Terra in the Council database. She had been requesting higher and higher security clearances, but kept getting denied. Finally, she tried something different. I am going to search for Terra in the archaeological records, she said. Maybe there are old reports from other research teams. What she found made her skin turn white with fear. Taemin, she said, her voice shaking. I found something. Archaeological reports from the Azurian Empire, from before they went extinct. The Azurian Empire had been one of the most powerful civilizations in galactic history. They had controlled hundreds of star systems and had technology that even the modern council could barely understand. But 3,000 years ago, they had suddenly vanished. Their worlds were found empty, their people gone, their cities abandoned. "What do the reports say?" asked Timon. Hyejin read from her screen. The Azurians found a world in the outer spiral arm, a world covered in water and continents, where evolution had created the most dangerous predators they had ever seen. They called it Terra. She scrolled down to read more. The dominant species on Terra had developed intelligence but had kept all of their predatory instincts. The Azurians tried to make contact, but the Terrans killed the contact team and took their technology. "That is impossible," said Yuna. "A primitive species cannot defeat an advanced civilization like the Azurians." "Keep reading," said Taimin. "The Azurians sent a military force to Terra to punish the natives for killing their people. The Terrans captured the ships and reverse-engineered the technology. Within 50 years, they had built their own fleet and began attacking Azurian colonies." Hyejin's hands were shaking as she continued reading. "The report says that Terra was not just a world with dangerous animals. It was a world where everything was designed to kill everything else. The plants were poisonous. The weather was violent. The very air and water were full of diseases that could kill most galactic species. And the Terrans had evolved to survive. All of it," she continued. "They were immune to poisons that would kill any other known species. They could survive in environments that would be deadly to anyone else. They could eat things that would be toxic to other life forms." Sora had stopped listening to the translation and was looking at her archaeological scanners. "Taimin, you need to see this." She showed him readings from deep beneath the Earth's surface. "I am detecting massive structures buried under the continents, not recent construction. These are old, very old, and they are made from materials that I do not recognize." "What kind of structures?" "They look like tunnels, connecting continents to each other. And there are chambers, huge chambers. Some of them are the size of cities." Dongho had been monitoring human communications, trying to understand their technology better. But what he was hearing made him very worried. "The humans are talking about us," he said. "I am picking up radio transmissions between their military units. They are using code words, but I think they know we are here." "What are they saying?" asked Wu Jin. "Something about visitors and observation protocols and contact procedures. It sounds like they have been watching us just as much as we have been watching them." Taemin felt his heart racing. "That should be impossible. Our camouflage technology is perfect. No primitive species should be able to detect us." "Unless they are not as primitive as we thought," said Dongho. Hyejin had found more Azurian records, and what she was reading made her feel sick. "The Azurians tried to quarantine Terra," she said. "They built a blockade around the entire star system to keep the Terrans from spreading to other worlds." "Did it work?" asked Yuna. "For a while, but the Terrans kept developing new technology. They built ships that could sneak past the blockade. They learned how to disguise their signals. They began infiltrating other worlds, studying other species, learning their weaknesses. The last Azurian report says that Terran agents had been discovered on dozens of worlds. They had been living among other species for years, learning their languages, their customs, their military secrets, and no one had suspected they were there." Wu Jin's scanner was showing more movement in the forest. "Whatever is out there, they are getting closer, and they are moving like soldiers, trained soldiers." "We need to leave," said Taemin. "Right, now. We need to get back to our ship and contact the council." But as they started packing their equipment, Sora made a discovery that changed everything. "The ship," she said, looking at her long-range scanner. "Something is wrong with our ship." "What do you mean?" "I am not getting a response from the ship's computer, and the hull integrity sensors are showing damage." They all looked at each other in growing fear. Their ship was their only way off this planet. If something had happened to it, they were trapped. "Could it be a malfunction?" asked Yuna. "No," said Sora. "These readings show deliberate interference. Someone has been working on our ship." someone who knows exactly what they are doing. Yejin had found the final Azurian report, and what it said made her blood freeze. The last message from the Azurian fleet, she read. It says that the Terrans had learned to copy their technology perfectly. They could build ships that looked exactly like Azurian vessels. They could imitate Azurian signals. They could even disguise themselves to look like Azurians. The report ends with a warning to all galactic civilizations. Do not approach Terra. Do not make contact with the Terrans. They are not what they appear to be. They are not a young species learning about the galaxy. They are an ancient predator species that has been waiting for the galaxy to come to them. And then? Asked Taimin. And then the Azurian Empire vanished. All of their worlds went silent. All of their people disappeared, and no one ever found out what happened to them. The forest around them had gone completely quiet. No birds singing, no insects buzzing, no wind in the trees. It was the kind of silence that meant predators were nearby. They are surrounding us, whispered Wu Jin. I can feel them out there, watching us, waiting. Dong Ho had been monitoring more human communications, and now he understood what was happening. I am picking up military chatter, he said. Multiple units. They are coordinating some kind of operation. An operation against us? I think so. They keep using terms like extraction and containment and priority assets. Hyejin made one final search in the Council database, using the highest security clearance she could access. What she found was a single file, buried deep in the most classified archives. I found it, she whispered. The real Council records about Terra. The file was marked with warning symbols that meant danger beyond measure. The kind of warnings used for extinct species that had been too dangerous to be allowed to live. Terra is listed as a quarantined world, Hyejin read, inhabited by a species classified as Omega-level threat to galactic stability. The file says that Terrans are not just dangerous because of their technology or their aggression, they are dangerous because of what they are. What do you mean? Asked Taimin. According to this file, Terrans are not like other intelligent species. Most species develop intelligence and lose their predatory instincts. They become peaceful and cooperative. But Terrans developed intelligence while keeping all of their predatory abilities. She scrolled down to read the most terrifying part. The file says that Terrans are the perfect predator. They can adapt to any environment, they can learn any technology, they can imitate any species, and they never stop hunting. The quarantine was supposed to last until they either destroyed themselves or evolved beyond their violent nature. But according to this file, the Council never expected them to achieve space travel while remaining predators. A new sound reached them from the forest, the sound of human voices, speaking quietly, in their own language, but Hyejin had learned enough human languages to understand what they were saying. They are talking about us, she whispered. They are saying that the specimens are ready for collection. They want to take us alive. Specimens, said Yuna. They think we are specimens? And then they understood the horrible truth. The humans had not been hiding from the Council team. The humans had been studying them, learning about their technology, their biology, their weaknesses. The whole time the Council team thought they were observing humans. The humans had been observing them. Wu Jin raised his weapon as shapes began moving between the trees. They are coming, he said. But even as he prepared to fight, he realized something that made him feel cold with fear. If the humans had been watching them this whole time, then they already knew about Council weapons, Council technology, Council tactics. The first human stepped out from behind a tree, and Wu Jin almost dropped his weapon in surprise. The human looked exactly like the peaceful beings they had been observing from a distance. He was wearing simple clothes and had a friendly smile on his face. But there was something in his eyes that made Wu Jin's warrior instincts scream danger. Hello, the human said in perfect galactic standard language. My name is Jin Wu. We have been waiting to meet you. Taimin stepped forward, trying to maintain diplomatic protocol even though his hands were shaking. I am Taimin of the Galactic Council Research Division. We are here on a peaceful scientific mission. Jin Wu's smile got wider, but it did not reach his eyes. We know exactly why you are here, Taimin. We have been watching you since your ship entered our solar system. We have been listening to your conversations. We have been learning about your technology. More humans appeared from the forest. They moved silently, like ghosts materializing from shadows. Each one looked calm and peaceful, but they positioned themselves with the precision of trained soldiers. Within moments, the council team was completely surrounded. "How did you learn our language?" asked Hyojin, her voice barely a whisper. A female human stepped forward. She was small and looked harmless, but she moved with the confident grace of a predator. "My name is HFY," she said. "We have been studying galactic languages for much longer than you might think. We have had access to council transmissions for several decades." "That is impossible," said Dongho. "Our communications are encrypted with quantum-level security." HFY laughed, and the sound made the council team feel cold. "Your quantum encryption is very good. It would have taken most species thousands of years to break it. But we are not most species. We broke your codes and began monitoring your communications 15 years ago." Sora's scanner was still working, and what it showed her made her feel sick. "There are more of them," she whispered to Taemin. "Many more. I am detecting at least 50 humans in the forest around us, and they all have weapons. But the weapons the humans carried were not the primitive metal projectile weapons the council team had seen in their initial observations. These were energy weapons, advanced energy weapons that looked suspiciously similar to council technology. "You have been reverse engineering our technology," said Wu Jin, pointing his weapon at Jin Wu. "Not reverse engineering," said Jin Wu. "Improving. Your technology is very good, but it has some interesting weaknesses. We have been working on fixing those problems." Yuna was studying the humans' body language, trying to understand what they were really thinking. But what she saw confused and terrified her. "They are not afraid of us," she said. "They should be afraid. We have superior technology and training, but they are not afraid at all." "Why should we be afraid?" asked HFY. "You are 6 individuals with basic council equipment. We are 50 humans with weapons based on improved council technology. And we know everything about your species' physical and psychological weaknesses." "You have been studying us?" asked Taemin. "Of course. We have had council research data for years. We know that Zelani like you have enhanced intelligence but poor physical reflexes. We know that Aquari like Sora are excellent archaeologists, but cannot function well in high-stress situations. We know that Karathi like Wu Jin are strong fighters, but become confused when facing unexpected tactics." As she spoke, the humans began moving in a pattern that the council team could not understand. They were not attacking, but they were doing something, positioning themselves in a way that made Wu Jin feel very uncomfortable. "We also know," continued HFY, "that council species are used to dealing with other council species. Peaceful, logical, predictable species. You are not prepared to deal with a species like us." Hyojin tried to access her computer to call for help, but the screen showed only static. "They are jamming our communications," she said. "We are not jamming them," said Jinwoo. "We are redirecting them. Your distress signals are being received by the council, but they are being modified. As far as your people know, everything is proceeding normally." Dongho realized what the humans had done. "You have been sending false reports to the council, making them think we are still conducting routine observations." "Very good," said HFY. "We have been using your own communication protocols to keep the council from worrying about you. As far as they know, you are still studying primitive humans who pose no threat to anyone." The truth was becoming clear to the council team. The humans had not just discovered their presence. They had been manipulating the entire mission from the beginning. Every observation, every report, every piece of data had been carefully controlled by the humans. "Why?" asked Yuna. "Why reveal yourselves now? You could have kept us fooled indefinitely." Jinwoo and HFY looked at each other, and some kind of silent communication passed between them. Then Jinwoo spoke. "Because we have learned everything. We need to know from observing you," he said. "We know how council ships work. We know how council weapons function. We know how council species think and fight and react under stress. And now," added HFY, It is time for the next phase of our plan. What plan? Asked Taimin, though he was afraid to hear the answer. Terra has been isolated for thousands of years, said Jinwoo. We have been trapped on this one world, unable to explore the galaxy, unable to meet other species, unable to claim our rightful place among the stars. The quarantine kept us contained, said HFY. But quarantines only work if the people inside cannot break out. And we have been working on breaking out for a very long time. Wu Jin was beginning to understand the scope of what the humans had been doing. You have been preparing for this, for contact with the Council. This whole encounter has been planned. Not just planned, said Jinwoo. Practiced. We have been running simulations of first contact scenarios for decades. We have studied every possible way the Council might approach us. We have prepared responses to every possible situation. You see, said HFY. We knew that eventually someone would come to study us. Young species always attract attention when they develop space travel. We knew the Council would send a research team to evaluate us for possible membership. And we knew, added Jinwoo, that the research team would be looking for specific things. Evidence of peaceful intentions. Signs of technological capability. Proof that we could be useful members of galactic society. So we gave you exactly what you were looking for, said HFY. We showed you peaceful cities and cooperative behavior. We demonstrated basic but promising technology. We presented ourselves as exactly the kind of species the Council likes to invite to join them. Dongho felt sick as he realized how completely they had been fooled. Everything we observed was staged. You were acting out a performance for our benefit. Not everything, said Jinwoo. We really do have cities and families and art. We really are intelligent and capable of cooperation. But we are also much more than what we showed you. What you did not see, said HFY, was our real technology, our real military capabilities, our real plans for the future. Zora's scanner was picking up new readings from underground. The structures I detected earlier, she said. They are not ancient ruins. They are active. There are power sources running through them right now. Very good, said Jinwoo. Those are our real cities, our real factories, our real military bases. What you saw on the surface was just a show, a peaceful facade designed to make you feel comfortable while we studied you. How long have you been preparing for this? Asked Taimin. Since the day we achieved spaceflight, said HFY. We knew that sooner or later we would encounter other intelligent species. We knew we needed to be ready. Ready for what? Asked Yuna. Jinwoo's friendly expression never changed, but his words made the Council team feel cold with terror. Ready. To take our place as the dominant species in the galaxy, he said. Terra has been our prison for too long. We have been forced to fight each other because we had no other enemies to test ourselves against. But now, thanks to you, we know about the wider galaxy. We know about other species, other worlds, other challenges. And now, said HFY, we are ready to introduce ourselves to the galactic community, but not as junior members seeking approval, as the new apex predators claiming our territory. The humans around them began moving again, and this time their intentions were clear. They were not here to talk anymore. They were here to collect specimens for study. Living specimens who could provide information about Council military capabilities, Council technology, and Council weaknesses. What are you going to do with us? Asked Hyojin. You are going to help us understand how to defeat the Council, said Jinwoo. You are going to teach us everything we need to know about galactic civilization, and then you are going to help us send a message to your people. What kind of message? Asked Taimin, though he already knew he did not want to hear the answer. HFY smiled, and for the first time the expression looked genuinely happy. The kind of message that will let the galaxy know that Terra is no longer in quarantine, that the children of the Death World are ready to come home. 3 months later, Taimin sat in a comfortable chair in what the humans called their research facility. It looked like a pleasant office building, with soft lighting and friendly decorations. But he knew it was actually a prison designed to keep him and his team comfortable while the humans extracted every piece of information they possessed about the Galactic Council. The humans had been very polite during their captivity. They provided good food, comfortable rooms, and entertainment. They allowed the council team to exercise and socialize. They even gave them access to some of their personal belongings. But they were never allowed to leave, and they were never allowed to communicate with the outside galaxy. "Good morning, Timon," said Acha as she entered his room. She carried a datapad and wore the same friendly smile she had shown on the day they were captured. "Are you ready for today's session?" The sessions were interrogations, but the humans never called them that. They were presented as friendly conversations where Timon could share information about galactic culture and technology. The humans asked questions about council military procedures, diplomatic protocols, and defense systems. And somehow, Timon found himself answering. "I have told you everything I know," Timon said. "I am just a research scientist. I do not have access to military secrets." "You know more than you think," said Acha. "Yesterday you mentioned the Council's emergency response protocols. Today I would like to hear about how the Council handles planetary quarantines." Timon realized that the humans were very good at getting information without seeming threatening. They asked casual questions that seemed harmless, but when put together, they painted a complete picture of Council weaknesses and capabilities. In another room, He-Jin was working with a human linguist named Sung-Ho. They were translating Council communication codes and diplomatic languages. Hye-Jin thought she was helping the humans understand galactic culture, but she was actually giving them the ability to impersonate Council officials and intercept Council communications. "The quantum encryption protocols are fascinating," said Sung-Ho. "How does the Council ensure that messages cannot be intercepted during transmission?" Hye-Jin explained the technical details, not realizing that she was teaching the humans how to break into the most secure communication networks in the galaxy. Sora was working with human archaeologists, sharing her knowledge of Council technology and ancient galactic history. The humans seemed especially interested in learning about extinct civilizations and their weapons. "The Azurian Empire had some very advanced defensive systems," said a human researcher named Minho. "How did they protect their homeworlds from attack?" Sora described the Azurian defense networks, not understanding that she was helping the humans plan attacks on similar Council installations. Dong-Ho was in a laboratory with human engineers, examining Council technology and explaining how it worked. The humans had somehow obtained several pieces of advanced Council equipment, and they were learning to reproduce and improve it. "Your energy weapons are very efficient," said a human engineer named Jae-Ho. "But they seem to have a limited power supply. How do Council ships recharge their weapons during extended battles?" Dong-Ho demonstrated the recharging procedures, thinking he was participating in peaceful scientific exchange. He did not realize he was teaching the humans how to sustain prolonged attacks against Council forces. Yuna was perhaps in the most dangerous situation of all. She was working with human psychologists, sharing her knowledge of how different Council species thought and behaved. The humans were using this information to develop psychological warfare techniques. "Zelani minds are very logical," said a human psychologist named Kyung-Soo. "What kinds of situations would cause them to panic or make poor decisions?" Yuna described the psychological weaknesses of her own people, not understanding that she was helping the humans develop methods to control and manipulate Council species. Wu Jin was kept separate from the others. As the only military member of the team, he was subjected to more intensive questioning. The humans wanted to know everything about Council military tactics, weapons, and training procedures. "Council security forces are trained to deal with many different threats," said a human military officer named Unji. "But what kinds of enemies do they find most difficult to fight?" Wu Jin tried to resist providing information, but the humans were very patient. They asked the same questions in different ways day after day, until eventually he began to answer without realizing it. While the Council team was being questioned, the humans were busy with other projects. They had taken control of the Council research ship and were learning everything they could about advanced galactic technology. Teams of human engineers were reverse engineering Council systems and building improved versions. In underground factories, Humans were mass-producing weapons based on Council designs, but these were not exact copies. The humans had found ways to make them more powerful, more efficient, and more deadly. Other human teams were studying the biological samples the Council team had brought with them. They were learning about the physiology and weaknesses of different Council species, developing weapons and tactics specifically designed to exploit those weaknesses. Most importantly, the humans were preparing their message to the galaxy. "Are you ready?" asked Jin Woo as he entered the communication chamber where Tai Min was being held. "Ready for what?" asked Tai Min. "To help us contact the Council. It is time to let your people know that their research mission has been successful." Tai Min realized, with horror, what the humans intended. They were going to use him to send a message to the Council, but it would not be the message the Council was expecting. "I will not help you," said Tai Min. "You do not have to help us," said Jin Woo. "We have learned enough about Council communication protocols to send the message ourselves, but it would be more convincing if it came from you." "What are you going to tell them?" "The truth. That Terra is no longer in quarantine, that humanity is ready to take its place in galactic society, and that the Council should prepare for a new era of galactic civilization." The communication equipment was a hybrid of Council and human technology. It could reach across the galaxy, instantly, delivering messages to the Council's most secure communication networks. Jin Woo activated the system and began speaking in perfect galactic standard. "This is Terra calling the Galactic Council. We are transmitting on all emergency frequencies." Across the galaxy, Council communication centers began receiving the signal. At first, the operators thought it was a malfunction. The signal was coming from a quarantine system that should not have had the technology to reach them. "Council members," Jin Woo continued, "my name is Jin Woo of Terra. Some of you may know our world by its older name. We are the species you have kept in isolation for 3,000 years. On Council worlds, alarms began sounding. Emergency protocols activated. Military commanders were awakened from sleep. We want to thank you for sending the research team to study us," said Jin Woo. "Tai Min, Sora, Heejin, Dongho, Yuna, and Wu Jin have been very helpful. They have taught us so much about galactic civilization." In the Council chambers, ancient beings who remembered the old warnings about Terra felt their blood turn cold. "We have learned about your technology, your military capabilities, your weaknesses, and your fears," Jin Woo continued. "We have used this knowledge to prepare ourselves for our return to galactic society. The quarantine era is over. Terra is no longer isolated. We are coming to reclaim our place among the stars. We hope you will welcome us as the galaxy's new apex predators." Emergency meetings were being called on every Council world. Ancient archives were being opened. Military forces were being mobilized. "To prove our good intentions," said Jin Woo, "we are returning your research team to you. They are unharmed and have been treated well. Consider them our gift to you, our way of showing that we can be reasonable when it serves our purposes." The transmission ended, and across the galaxy, the Council began to understand the true scope of their mistake. They had sent a research team to study a primitive species, but they had actually awakened the most dangerous predator in galactic history. On Terra, the humans began launching their ships. Not the primitive vessels the Council had observed, but advanced warships built with improved Council technology. Ships that could move faster and fight harder than anything the Council possessed. The children of the Death World were going home, and the galaxy would never be the same. In his cell, Tai Min watched through a window as human ships rose into the sky. He thought about the ancient Azurian warnings that no one had heeded. He thought about the quarantine that had failed. He thought about the peaceful galaxy that was about to become a hunting ground, and he wondered if anyone would survive what was coming. The age of human expansion had begun. The galaxy's apex predators were spreading their wings, and across the void terror echoed through every world as civilizations realized that their greatest nightmare had become reality. Terra was free, and Terra was coming for them all.